Hi Laura, hope I pronounced your name correctly. You're from Italy, so I think it should be Laura. Yeah, good to go. Thanks for sending over your portfolio or a link to your art station. So you tell me that you're a junior artist and you just had an internship, but now you're looking for a job. So hopefully I can just give you a little bit of feedback on your work so that it would be easier for you to get a job somewhere. So I just briefly looked through all your work here. What I do like is that it's short and sweet. What you have on your art station is quite to the point. There's not like an endless row of stuff. I do want to mention certain things. So let's just walk over maybe my first point. That is, I'm not really sure what kind of business you want to get into. I do sense that it's mostly character designs, since you have a lot of characters in it, but you do also have some environment pieces. So my recommendation is that, and it's also based on some talks with people in the industry, that the industry is more looking for specialized people and less for generalists, because I believe there's room enough for specialized people in the industry versus generalists who can't really pull off that specialized work. So right now, like, since you're also in the beginning of your process, let me just try to draw my thoughts here. So right now you're generalist. That means that you have a lot of coverage, but you don't have a lot of depth in your work. So that means that the more you spread yourself out on subjects, like you have characters, environments, landscape, portraits, all kind of stuff, you don't just pick one of those and say, I'm an expert in that. So I would believe that it would be quite valuable for you to say either your environment artist or a character artist, and then put the focus on that, because that will really make it more easy for the ones on the other side who are looking for talent to say, we're looking for a character artist or we're looking for environment artist. Also, if you look at ArtStation jobs, it usually is divided into those two categories. So it's either character or environment. The last job that we pulled off, they were very much looking for an environment artist. So that's the kind of like distinction I think that is really valuable to say. So the first thing. So, but other than that, there's a little bit. The next thing I would like to say is there's quite a lot of range on your work here, because I mean the last image here is that's some really skilled brush work. So I can see that you're moving quite fast. That said, is that some of your last pieces are down here, they fall a little bit flat. So for example, I've looked at these, but just based on the thumbnail alone, let's just try to put them in here. Let's get the right one. This is quite strong. So if it's a character, I would definitely keep this one. But for example, this, I would check this out. Because that's a study. These as well, I just saw it, it's croquis sketches, out as well. These things, this is an anatomy study, this is a croquis, they should all show up in this work. All your studies should show up in a finished piece. I would not show work in progress like that, because that's not a finished piece. So I don't think that a studio would hire in and say, oh, that's nice, go on and study. So that out, I would take this out as well. Then there's things that sort of, let me just get a fresh layer. Sorry. Out. So this is, sorry for saying out, not in that sense, but just to trim your portfolio a bit more. So for example, things that are pulling in a weird direction. So for example, as a character artist, I would go with something like this. Yay. This as well could be also a bit, it's a little bit more towards illustration. This one is really fun and nice. This one is not as strong as this one painting wise, but the like sort of thought behind this is a little bit better. So this as well, it's pointing in a wrong direction. I would say, again, trim these things out. Just trim it, because if you show your portfolio, so this is like 100 skills and 0 skills. You're showing your portfolio and that's super nice, and then you show one piece, boink, that is like that. It could be like 5 really good pieces, and then one piece that is not as good. But now I know where the bottom is, meaning that, this is so already like, that's not that great. I would be colored by that one piece. So if you took that out, I would only see 4 pieces, but those 4 pieces would be killer. So I would do something like that instead. So trim out the stuff that doesn't really work. And this, for example, would be something like that. Then there's also the variations of where I say it's nice, but I think some of your new work is more strong. So work towards showcasing some of your new work. Just show a few pieces that are strong. So go on to all the ex-classmates and your friends who can give you some valuable feedback, and then lay these things out and give them the chance to give you some feedback and say what should you keep in, what should you take out. So let me try to give you some specific feedback. So since we are studio based a lot of environments, I really don't want to butcher your characters. So I'll primarily give you a little bit of feedback on the environment. So sorry if you really want to hear something about the characters. But yeah, I'll just try to say something about this and another piece. So for example, this one, that is quite whimsical, and I like that you put these exploration pages in as well, so that means that you showcase something about that you have a thought process. I think you could combine some of these, like put them, like scale this a little bit down and put these on a page up here, give it a title, maybe showcase some material, put it all in color, just like how would it actually look in game as well. And that's a different thing. Like this one is better because you showcase how it actually would look in game. I assume it's like some sort of 2D game like this, and I think that's quite nice. So props to this. I think this is better than this. So if you could do something similar with this as you did here, so something like that, it can just be outlined and quite quickly colored. That would be really nice. So if I just should say something about this image in particular, let me just get it in here. So with this image, I am not really sure who lives here, because there's not anything that sort of tells me. So if I'm trying to just guess, it's an old lady of some sort, like who has a dog and a little kitchen. So what tells me it's an old person is the nice and tranquil kitchen. But this is so far out from what I've seen before that I'm not really quite sure what I'm looking at. So maybe a little bit of context would be nice. I guess there's also some cooking going on inside. Since the kitchen is outside, I'm not really sure why there's smoke coming out, but maybe there's just a little fireplace inside. So what I'm most struck by, it's quite rare that I see like a snail, organic snail, combined with a square block. So maybe the whole thing should either be organic or more like a square. So right now what you're combining this very blocky stuff, and you're combining some more like elegant, natural kind of swirly stuff here. So these things, I don't believe that they match so well. You can see like you have these very angular stuff down here, and then you have these twirly things up here, especially these like very twirly. So it gives me this weird like, what am I looking at here? Like, is it organic or is it man-made? Maybe you could, because right now maybe it's like some sort of like snail that is like a giant snail, and somebody has built a house inside it. So like you could just see the opening, and then there's the door here, because that would say something about it's an abandoned shell from like a giant snail that somebody's like scavenging and living inside. Because right now I'm not sure if it's something scavenged and then somebody built a house that really fits like this, or what's going on. Next thing I'm not really so sure about is, why is the kitchen outside? I know it's nice to showcase some life outside, but is it like you go and talk to somebody outside, or what's going on with the little kitchen outside? So maybe some more thoughts into why this kitchen is on the outside. It's really nice with the little kitchen garden here, and then you say beware of the plant. I looked at it and said, where's the plant? Oh, it's there. You could definitely pull off something where you have the house, and then outside of the silhouette of the house you have the little plant guy. Because right now if you just move it out here and then move the kitchen garden a little further, you would have a really nice silhouette of the plant. You can put the background a little lighter, and you can put the plant guy a little darker, and you definitely pick it up much faster. So it's just a staging thing. So it's again, this should be quite obvious. who are we drawing here? It should be Mickey Mouse. A little sloppy Mickey Mouse, but that's the thing, like, always think about your silhouettes. They should be really strong, because that's easier to pull it off then. Then, I guess, yeah, let's just nitpick some details. You have some lamps here, but lamps, aren't they attached to something? So what's going on up here? Like you're right now just passing along a modeling problem to somebody. So I would go in and say, it's attached like this. It wraps around here. I mean, these kind of like small things are a little bit nitpicky, but like if you don't answer something, you're just pushing a problem down the line to the next person who has to figure out, so how are these things attached? So I would definitely recommend try to go in and solve problems before it becomes somebody else's problems. And it goes with all kind of things. So every kind of thing here, like how are things the right size, are they located the right way and stuff like that. This, again, super nitpicky, but that's what I'm here for. This is all perpendicular. There's like 90 degrees angle to all of it. Like right now somebody placed it in a perfect square. Everything actually, also this. Couldn't this be nice if the fireplace was a little bit to this side, this thing was up against the wall of the house, then this thing was up here, and then this thing was, the little chair was out here. Just to have like more like some randomness to the location, but as this, so they still sort of make some sort of circular space. Because right now it strikes me that this is very square and this is very square. So that is something that strikes me. There's something about the rocks back here, they're very like, it looks like you're just repeating a ton of jagged edges. Just simplify, I would believe it would be nice. Just boop, one big shape, because you don't want, like, you're not selling the back of the house, but right now you're putting a ton of details. So I would just go in and simplify some of this. Just pull attention away from this, stage it a little bit better. And then last, I think it could be nice to move the camera just a bit up so that you're actually showcasing it a little bit more from up. So you have more like an isometric kind of view on the whole layout. That way, I believe you can see a little bit more of the behind, maybe if you pull things a little bit out. And you can also better see the location of things compared to each other if you lay it out like that. It's a little bit more grid based. So yeah, I think that's enough said about that piece. Then the next piece here, I'm primarily saying something about your environments, but I hope you can also translate some of the feedback here into your characters. I mean, silhouettes, placement of stuff, all kind of stuff like that. So this piece in particular, so let me just drop it in here. I didn't really look that much into it, so let me just try to figure out what's going on here. It says, wanted, dead or alive. So somebody's wanted, but I must admit that I have no clue of what I'm looking at here. Like, is this a detective apartment or what is it that we're looking for? Somebody is wanted, dead or alive. So this person is trying to look for this person, I guess. Okay, so how can we tell that story a little bit better? So first off, your layout of this meta, let me see my environment. Yeah, so it's an environment center of the Painting Thieves room. I have never seen a room like that. A room like that seems quite odd to me. So let me just move things a little bit. So if this is the entrance, I would at least expect the room to be quite bigger. Because right now it seems very claustrophobic that you have to shuffle around this little corner and like sort of squeeze your way through here, which is really, really weird. So I would just extend this room, give it a window so that people don't die of claustrophobia, so that you can showcase some sort of environment. So let's just say, I'm just spitballing here, so let's just pretend that this is a detective trying to figure out where this guy is. It's a bit weird that it's in the hallway, let's just say that's how it is for now. I would maybe just tell a little bit of story now. We have this space up here that you actually leave blank, and you have like tons of real estate up here to tell the story. So I would have wanted. that guy, dead or alive. I would have all kind of clues pointing into this guy. Like one of these pin-up boards with clues. I have, whoops, too much. Books. Like maybe the lamp is on like a big pile of books. So this is a person who really wants to catch this thief. There's books, there's newspaper taped to the walls. All kind of like, you know, these people who are obsessed with trying to figure out where somebody's whereabouts is. These kind of things are linked together. Linked and linked and linked. So this says something about, I want to find out who this is. And down here we have maybe, let's just say we have a map of the city. And then we have a magnifying glass. And then that person figured out it was here that the thing was going to go down, whatever it was. And then that person just left the door because he or she just pieced off all the clues together and just figured out, this is where we have to go now. So maybe there's jackets out here. Then let's just make, like, we have jackets here, but there's one jacket missing. So that person has just left the building in a rush. And maybe there's shoes, but there's one pair missing in a little shoe box down here. So what I'm trying to say here is just that I want to tell as many things as I can about this person inhabiting this space, all of this space, as I possibly can with the real estate that I have here. So when you leave something blank like this, you're passing on the problem to solve for somebody else. So try to embed as much story as you can within these images. So with that said, I'll just try to pull up a tutorial that we made that is also up on our YouTube page. So this is a small tutorial that we did before the summer, during the summer holiday. So we try to just let ourselves be inspired by Borderlands and try to make sort of like a weapons vendor, his little place here. So we tried to embed as much story as we could into this little environment here. So the first thing we did was that, of course, to sketch a ton of stuff, we built it also all in 3D so that I had something to paint over, so that I really knew how the space was. And that was about, again, the distribution of space. So for this thing, it was Victor selling fresh fish with quotation marks. So it's his fresh fish, but you take off the fish lid, and then out pops these guns he has underneath. So he's like a weapons dealer, but he's not super great at hiding it. So it's a first-person shooter, so you have to be able to spot this weapons dealer. So there's a little bit of a compromise between, you need to be able to find him, so he is not completely occluded. So the idea was that it was this freezer, Mr. Freeze, for who catch the reference, that you go to Victor and you say, I would like to buy your fresh fish, and he says, sure, look at my freezer, and then he opens it up, pulls off this lid, and then out of the steam and smoke comes all the guns in this little thing that rotates around. So in that sense, I'm trying to, with this piece, again, to have tell as much as I can with the real estate that I have. So something about things being broken, with scratches, light information, colors of the guns, like the rarity of the guns, homemade improvements to whatever this thing is. So in that sense, I'm trying to carry over as much information as I can. I pass it on to the next person in line. So for example, also up here, he has a little chill out area where he can sit and relax between selling guns. So he can walk up this little ladder and go up here. So there's also a piece that showcases how, like in his interior, you go up here and he can chill out up here. So this is the vending area and this is his chill out area. So this is the kind of way I would present a project like that, which is shown here. So there's the three pieces that sort of ties together. So for example, with your apartment here, you could tie that together, so that would be the environment piece, like the call out of the environment, then maybe have a mood shot of how the apartment look, and then call out one of the props. I think that's quite valuable because that showcases also some of your thought process, and like what is really valuable is to see how you are as a person and how you think and how you solve problems. So with that said, I think that's the time I have to give you some feedback. I really, really hope that it was something that you could learn something from. And other than that, thank you for submitting your portfolio, and all the best of luck in your job hunt onwards. Okay, take care. Bye.